My name is Frans Thoka. I'm from Limpopo and I was born in Polokwane and spent some time in Lephalale, north of Limpopo, where I stayed with my parents and yeah. After some time, they went separate ways and my older brother and I had to leave and go stay with my grandmother in the villages. And yes, like moving from suburban township to the villages, that's a huge shift for someone like myself at that age. It was hard to deal with the reality I was faced. And one of the things that I would do, due to actually to stay away from other kids always talking about their parents, I'll walk into the bush, spend hours there, and just exploring nature. And that's where I fell in love with the landscape. My parents they were like 300 kilometers away from where I was. I'll look at species of plants and trees that I know existed in Lephalale, and that made me feel closer to my parents. And also the moon and the sun, it made me feel closer to my parents. So, but then by that time, obviously, walking into fences and fences, that time I didn't understand what was happening. But today, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is more to do with colonialism and um, you know, isolating, putting people in groups, like what happened during the Natives Land Act. Some of the things that I encountered out there in the field or in the bush were broken calabashes and ruins of randavels. And to me, I was like, it was just okay, another ruin of a randavels. But today, when I look at it, when I revisit the memory, it reminds me of what our people went through during the Natives Land Act. So in my work, I play with the idea of a burning landscape, because even if you look at the current situation in South Africa, you realize that there's so much stuff happening, like people losing their jobs and some people dying, because of other reasons. And it's sort of like a burning landscape. And also, like, the burning landscape in my work refers to um, the events that took place back then during apartheid, you know. And also, the burning landscape is a metaphor for the psychological well-being, even though it's not well, of our people, and how everything to them, because I come from that group, everything to them is sort of like dying or dead, and there's no hope. But through my work, through the use of found objects, material like this fabric right here, which I get from the thrift shop. Um, I cut these and I put them in my work. And when you step closer to my work, it's no longer a burning landscape. All you see is, floral lines, which sort of like speak, um, um, which sort of like represent hope, resilience, and also possibilities. You know, I tell people that if you wanna have a floral landscape, or or anything great in life, you have to look at segments that you never thought existed. But for you to see those, you need to step closer and realize that in trauma, there's a healing. Similar applies to my work. When you walk closer, you see these flowers and also like the mark making and the techniques that I use. Then that way, you no longer see the burning landscape. And that, you know, my work aims to, sort of like alert people that we need to revisit our past and speak about these traumas that we went through, that we inherited, all these memories, you know. Because from my view, the only way we could move forward and be positive is for us to go back and reflect on what happened so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. So the blanket in my work, as you can see, is grayish, and some people call it the prison blanket. So back then, during the Natives Land Act and other forms of imprisonment, These are the blankets that were given to the prisoners, our kings and queens, that were put on Robben Island, and also the blanket to me represents crisis, because there's a huge crisis in South Africa and across the world, where you have, you know, um, people not wanting to go back into the past, as in revisit the memories, speak about them, and find solutions so that the present, you know, can turn into something else better than, what we see at the moment. Landscapes, 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 landscapes. Landscapes, 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 landscapes. So the trees in my work, for instance, growing up in the villages who farm manually, and during break we sit under the tree, and our grandmother or somebody else that is there with us will tell us about how they moved from one place on to the next, and also the landscape. Both my paternal and maternal family worked the fields in ZB. They call it Piperast, um, back then, but today they call it Zibidian. And that's where, what what they went through coming to my work, through the conversations under the tree, how they were forcefully removed from one place to the next and dislocated. I didn't come into art to follow the trend or listen to what other people want me to do because it's good for them, I came into this whole thing. Art is to me it's more than life, It's bigger, like this narrative. So for as long as I keep on moving, they will live longer than anyone who is alive today, including the ones that are still unborn. Landscapes, landscapes, landscapes.